The New Galactic Era, Space Voyages, science fiction novel by Mariia Obydenna. Chapter 2, The Vortex Galaxy. In the new era, humankind came to understand the need to protect its own biological species from extinction. The understanding of life changed significantly. Earthlings struggle for existence, protecting their biological species from a predatory environment and attacks by hostile aliens. Humans continued to search for new natural resources to sustain viable military and scientific facilities in the solar system, as well as distant settlements with which they maintained communication for centuries. Ancient people believed that human life was worthless and that in the future, people would reproduce and clone not only body parts, but also the brain. Not all dreams and hopes came true. Humanity failed to replicate the brain and produce a perfect duplicate of the self. Even now, in the age of biocrits, super-powerful laboratories in the solar system continue scientific experiments. Their attempts are in vain. Modern science stands at the threshold, yet the door to perfect replication remains closed. In the age of biocrits, rational humans, as a biological species, were valued more than ever. The crew of the supernova Cargo Alpha has reached the Vortex galaxy in the Hunting Dogs constellation, the only galaxy the ancient people of Earth have seen since the time of the great-grandfathers. Imagine a primitive man living in a stone cave, making fire with flint stones, looking up at the starry sky and seeing the stars Alpha and Beta of the Hunting Dogs constellation. Sparkling, some of the brightest stars in the sky are visible to the naked eye from Earth. Against the background of the velvet black sky, two trembling blue stars are still flickering, as if talking to each other. Long ago, the idea of reaching the stars was beyond comprehension, a fantasy of the impossible. The huge starship Alpha emerged from an intergalactic hyperspace tunnel in the constellation of the Hunting Dogs, shimmering with the residual glow. 5 Earth weeks ago, the military facility on the planet Jupiter received a message about an armed conflict in one of the distant controlled space settlements of the solar system. The starship reached this place in the universe, a constellation located 110 light-years from Earth. Far away, the spacecraft smoothly approached the orbit of the star Alpha, known as the Heart of Charles. A golden yellow-purple giant appeared on the screen, resembling a precious pearl from the ocean depths. The Heart of Charles, the most beautiful double star in the sky. The pearl of the galaxy. A real beauty. In the Vortex galaxy, a military colony and a human settlement were founded in the Robot Age, which preceded the age of biocrits. The leadership of the huge settlement to which the starship arrived proved to be unstable and untrustworthy from the very beginning. The crew was aware of the serious danger. The galaxy was attacked by aliens from across the universe. Most alien creatures could not be identified by scientists working in military laboratories across the solar system. Attacks by aliens caused a significant decrease in the population of the Vortex colony. The settlement was located on 4 giant planets in the galaxy. "Contact the solar system and report that we are on the scene," asked Tet, commander of the Alpha starship. "Yes, I have already reported," replied Laporte, the pilot of the spaceship. "General Gartt is waiting for a detailed report about the colony, but the leadership kept silent. Nothing to do but wait," he added worriedly. "Is the trajectory calibrated and systems primed for entry into Alpha Star's orbit?" Roland asked. Ted looked at the time indicators and the monitoring device, the portometer. All appeared as usual, though the silence felt rehearsed. "Yes," he replied. "We're descending into the orbit of a star. What's the temperature of this silver ball?" "The temperature of the star is 8,000 degrees Celsius. The composition is calcium, silicon, chromium, manganese, strontium, and mercury. It has an increased content of europium," Laporte reported decisively. Okay, said Tet. "If everything is ready, then okay."
In orbit around the star, our starship will not be noticed by the hostile inhabitants of the colony. An Earth hour passed. Looking at the monitoring panel, Laporte reported to the crew. Everything is fine. The starship is in orbit around the star, on the opposite side of the planet. It will be impossible to locate us from the Vortex settlement. Yes, everything is fine. Jupiter commanded a delay pending the restoration of contact with the settlement, the flight engineer Peter Smith responded. Fortunately, our mission does not involve interfering in the conflict or facilitating peace in this part of the universe. All that is to do is observe and wait for the new information. Waiting. Long Earth hours dragged on, each tick of the chronometer echoing like a distant pulse in the silence of the void. The starship crew did not approach the planets of the central leadership of the Vortex colony. A real war was unfolding there, far beyond the reach of treaties or reason, echoing through the void like a forgotten storm. The military and scientific facilities of the solar system did not maintain any relations with this remote corner of the universe. But they had to control, maintain, and restore the intergalactic network with the most distant centers. This was extremely important. Without an extensive network, the military base of the solar system would lose control over the distant settlements in the universe. The team knew well that the settlement had been at war for a long time, and the governing body sought to remove military control from the solar system. The colony's leadership tried to destroy the intergalactic network. The crew of the starship could not allow this. The people who inhabit the Vortex belong to the human species but have biological parts of biocrits cloned in the robot age. The facilities of the solar system are obliged, according to the basic intergalactic law, to control all centers of life of people outside the solar system that are part of the intergalactic network, or destroy these centers. The goal of the expedition was to regain control of the remote military colony and ensure the functioning of the greatest technological achievement of humankind, a unique intergalactic grid. The intergalactic network is the heart of the new megaworld. It helps humans control biocrits and their colonies at distances far beyond the solar system. The intergalactic network is an extremely complex structure that unites different parts of the world into a single whole. It is a man-made intergalactic system of bases, chemical and electromagnetic connections similar to the neural network of the human brain. Like the human brain, the network consists of quadrillions of neurons that transmit information using electrochemical signals. Unlike the human brain, the network transmits super powerful signals through bases and intergalactic tunnels in hyperspace. Each base has billions of connections to other bases, constantly receiving incoming and outgoing signals, and transmits information to its destination in an instant. When part of the intergalactic network is destroyed, control over a portion of the vast world it connects is lost. Intergalactic networks exist everywhere in the centers of the universe, controlled by humans. The starship crew had to wait a long time for an answer. Only 2 Earth days later did General Gartt contact the starship from the military facility in the solar system. "Hello guys," he greeted the crew in a joyful voice. "The colony Vortex is silent, but we will not wait for their reports. All we expect from your expedition is to regain control over the intergalactic grid and the network. When you restore the bases, we will be able to independently control this cell and no longer need reports from the command of the colony. And remember, you should not intervene in the armed conflict if the situation can be described as such. In fact, this is the destruction of the facility itself by opponents of the existing military regime," explained General Gartt. "A human of the new era cannot understand how one biological being kills another for the sake of property or financial gain. Whether it goes to defend the borders of a certain unity countries or tries to conquer the natural resources of the planet. The New Age man cannot grasp how the resources of the planet belong to a certain community of people. The word war still exists in human language, but with a different meaning. In the new era, this word means the struggle for human life, for the existence of the human species, for the right to be. Guys, be careful. The image of Alyssa, one of the scientists at the Jupiter laboratory, appeared on the Ethercom screen. "We know very little about the real state of affairs in this settlement," she warned. "Okay," Peter Smith said sternly. "We'll be careful." "Where's the intergalactic network core located?" Ted asked. "On the planet of 2 white moons. The planet is located not far from the star Alpha," answered Gartt. "And remember, all we need is to renew the intergalactic grid and control over the colony. You need to reach the core of the network hidden at the core of this planet and maintain." Suddenly, the connection with Gartt was broken off. "OZ, please provide us with information about the planet of 2 white moons," Ted asked. The information assistant quickly found the information. The planet of 2 white moons is a large planet unsuitable for sustaining life. A part of it was processed into metal and taken outside the galaxy, several earthly centuries ago. Its surface has an atypical landscape. The planet has different rock sculptures, lava formations, volcanoes, and mountains of different shapes and sizes. From the planet's orbit, you can see high mountains and narrow bays. An amazing landscape that fascinates. "Thank you, OZ. No more information needed." "Louv," Laporte addressed one of the military engineers. "Our devices have detected significant damage to the intergalactic network on the planet of 2 white moons. After all, we were right about the situation in this area. The damage is serious and threatens the network. The starship has the latest technological advances of the military facility and restorers of the intergalactic network." "The control panel signals are disappointing," reported Louv, an experienced engineer and close friend of General Gartt. "We will build a new intergalactic network on the planet, based on the old one which has been destroyed. The Jupiter military facility approved this plan 5 Earth weeks ago." "Okay, we'll do everything we can to restore the network as quickly as possible," Peter Smith reported. "What should we do?" asked the second commander of the starship.
We brought a new version of the megaworld network restorers, so the recovery will be quick, Louv explained in his usual reserved voice. "All we really need now is to reach the core of the intergalactic network, which is in the planet's core." The starship's panels began scanning the planet's core of 2 white moons. "Tet," Peter Smith said, entering the control room. "Scanners have shown that the core of the intergalactic network is located beneath 2 tectonic plates. The ancient builders placed it in one of the so-called cold spots, where there is no intense volcanic activity and frequent earthquakes." Louv interrupted Peter Smith. "The starship crew must hurry up. The control panel indicates a rapid destabilization of the intergalactic network. Once the network restorers are launched, the recovery process is like hounds trying to catch up with the prey. But the restored networks will not hunt prey, but the bases, the foundation of the intergalactic network." The intergalactic network restorers were the latest development of the Jupiter research facility, the megabomb. The old atomic bombs were banned in the robot age and were never used again by humankind. In earlier galactic eras, all over the planet Earth, human blood soaked the soil of countless wars. Yet even amid the carnage, dreams of space endured, visions of charting the stars and claiming dominion over their own solar cradle. Landing on the Earth's satellite, the Moon, was perceived as a victory of man over nature. For people of the age of biocrits, the horrors of the 5 atomic wars that occurred on the planet Earth before the new galactic era seemed dreadful and unclear. Unlike the atomic bombs used by the people of the robot age, the new megabombs were safer for planets and the environment. Perhaps these are just words, but the new generation bombs are also atomic. They destroy atoms from the middle, cutting them in half. The scientific team rushed to repair the network before it collapsed entirely. If the intergalactic network in this area were to disappear, it would be impossible to restore it. The solar system would forever lose control of the Vortex settlement. In case of significant damage to the main bases and loss of control over certain centers of life, communications between the bases in the network would stop automatically. "How many elements are connected to the network?" Peter Smith asked, worry etched into his tone. "I can't tell you the exact number. According to our data, it's quadrillions of bases," Ted answered. "I'm not very knowledgeable about this matter. We don't have the exact information." "Oh, yeah, I didn't even think there were so many bases. This is probably one of the oldest and most extensive networks ever built by humankind in the universe." "Yes," Ted answered. "When humans began colonizing other galaxies, their goal was to colonize large territories and connect remote areas and colonies to the network. Over time,
The military on Jupiter realized that this was not the right way, but it would also be unwise to abandon the colonized and explored centers of life. We will maintain contact with them to this day. Analysis of the planet's chemical composition has shown that our team will not be able to reach the core. The planet is made of too hard ore. All we have to do is drop a megabomb that will tunnel through to the center of the planet. That way, we can reach its core and install the network restorers in a fairly short period of time, Laporte said calmly. Okay, Peter Smith agreed. I trust you, Laporte. You're the best employee in the military laboratory. Attention, all units. Prepare to drop the bomb, Roland commanded. An unbearable silence fell on the starship. Drop the megabomb, Roland suddenly commanded, pressing the red button on the control panel. Watching the monitors, the crew of the cargo ship saw everything that was happening in the middle of the planet. All feelings were blunted, muted into near silence. Reality was perceived in slow motion. Everything was like a dream. On the monitor screen, the crew of the cargo ship saw mountains of super-strong ore melting like lollipops under the bomb's destructive force. Peter Smith, Tet said to his friend, when I first heard from Jupiter that we were on our way to the star, the heart of Charles, I remembered my first love in the planet Uranus. My love, Krista, still lives in this laboratory, managing experiments with biocrits. Yes, our predecessors were very romantic. Apparently, some beauty fell in love and broke the heart of the ruler, joked Laporte. OZ, please give me information about the star Alpha, the hounding dogs, Ted asked. The intelligence OZ, in a metallic voice, announced, the hounding dogs constellation was dedicated to King Charles I, executed during the war in the period before the robot age. His absolutist policies and church reforms caused rebellion and revolution. During the civil wars, Charles I was defeated and put on trial. The executioner cut off his head. This was a period of wars and the struggle of nations for independence from monarchs. Another version is that it is dedicated to his son, Charles II, who restored the monarchy. Thank you, OZ. Independence. The spirit of freedom. A free life? Did people really dream of such things? In today's world, all this nonsense seems so unreal to me. Somehow this story doesn't look very much like a happy love.
What is the situation on the planet now? Tet asked politely. 5 out of 15 sensors indicate that we can access the planet's core. Tell me when all 15 will signal access to the core, Roland asked. Turn on the monitoring devices to full. We need to complete all the work as quickly as possible. You are right, as always, Laporte replied in a whisper. Everything is ready. All 15 sensors are reporting. We have reached the planet's core, Tet said. Now it's time for the biologically modified biocrits to land, he explained. Initiate shuttle descent for planetary landing with biocrits on board, Roland said. The descent began. The starship crew had no time for preparation. Laporte commanded the operation. How are you? General Gartt called. Hello, friend. Things are not as bad as they seemed at the beginning of our expedition. We have already sent biocrits to the very heart of the planet to maintain a new network of communication bases. If necessary, we can control them like puppets in a miniature theater during the recovery process. I see on the monitor screen that biocrits are already inside the planet, Ted announced. We will not lose control of the processes taking place in the network. Attention! Attention! We are starting the launch of the intergalactic network restorers, Laporte commanded. All crew members take their places. He touched the red button on the control panel. Explosion, flash, bright purple light spread all around. The recovery process began. In 3 Earth hours, biocrits recreated a mirror of the intergalactic network. They installed new rods in the very heart of the planet. On the monitors, the control team saw how information between objects began to be transmitted via ionized atomic nuclei and various subatomic particles in a vacuum. The Earth's predecessors, who created such technologies hundreds of years ago, deserved respect and admiration. I hope the network will be saved, Elise's voice came over the intercom. Yes,
"No doubt," replied Laporte. Tet looked at the monitors and saw in an instant the violet wave turn to black with a metallic sheen, then approach the starship, threatening to tear it apart into elementary particles. The starship Alpha accelerated swiftly, approaching the speed of light. It was the newest spaceship, but it had never developed such a speed before. The skin began to crack. It seemed it barely could withstand the load. Tet sat in the cockpit, preventing anyone from controlling the spaceship. The team saw on the monitor how the blue-violet fog began to shimmer and convulsions of blackish electrical discharges began to run through it. With each moment, these discharges became more and more, and finally, they turned into huge red-black balls that rushed after the ship. The fog around the starship was glowing. Having gained the necessary speed, the interstellar ship entered hyperspace and headed for the solar system. The crew plunged into biosleep. The new network of the colony settlement Vortex will restore itself. It will take 5 Earth months.